right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. Good even fall to one and all. This is Warp Speed. Lieutenant Commander's log star date 11/00/10.9. And I really do appreciate it that you have decided to join your interlocutor, your fellow space traveler, as we delve into the matters that may or may not have any suitable answers. And if you are here for answers, well, all I can tell you is that I am not the man with the answers. If anything, I'm just a individual, like many of you, who only wants to know. I have only questions for you, but no answers. Maybe you have answers for me. In fact, I encourage every single one of you that will engage with me tonight to provide me answers to the many questions that I'll probably be presenting to you in this here broadcast. Warp Speed, if anything, is a curious individual who has never learned enough from his mistakes to say he's wise. So I won't profess to be better than you, or to give you any kind of guidance, or to give you any kind of advice. That is not me. If anything, I'm just a person that you can look up to in order to look down upon. I am a failure of a man. An individual has had its ups and downs. And for a while there, I was having my ups. And now it seems like I'm having some downs. But such is life. Life is nothing but a roller coaster of emotions, of experience, of states of confusion, and of the pursuit for answers. I hope you are well of health and sane of mind. I have welcomed you tonight to this here broadcast to discuss why it is that we as humans engage in violent activities. In particular, I mean violent activities in the form of athletics, competition, trying to be better than the next individual, sanctioned organized violence. This past week has been a tough one for the sport of boxing. It all started, I guess we can say, last week on Tuesday at Country Box 24/7, where we had a fighter by the name of Curtis Harper. I know you guys know the name Curtis Harper. He's famous for having walked out in a fight against the FA Jogbe, because apparently he reports he was being betrayed and robbed and violated of his contractual obligations from the person that was hired to pay him to fight the FA Jogbe. So what he done is he protested by walking into the ring, just making sure that it became a sanctioned fight so that it could go official on his record, and then they could say that he fought, and then he walked out and he quit, according to some people, but nobody ever bothered to give that guy a chance in order to listen to him explain himself, why it was that a feisty fighter like himself would go upon the ring and then betray the fans who went to see him perform by walking out the ring. We don't give chances to our fighters, right? We are the first ones to critique. We are the first ones to call an individual a quitter. But you know who's the biggest quitter? He who is too fearful to try in the first place, right? Which is the majority of the fans of this organized violent sport named boxing. Good even thought to you, El Pachuco. Saludos, compa, at Warp Speed. Saludos to you, Carnalito. I hope you are doing well of health and sane of mind. And if you aren't, well, I don't hold it against you. You know, it's experience is a roller coaster of states of confusion and of moments of sagacity and clarity. So if you aren't too well of health as you're trying to manage and balance what these things all offer us, well, why should I judge you? I'm in the same boat. But if you are doing well of health and you do have something good going on for you, I salute you, El Pachuco, because that is success. Trying to find meaning, trying to find purpose in why we are here. And in fact, El Pachuco, thank you very much for joining me, because that's what I wanted to discuss. I wanted to discuss meaning and the purpose in the light of the sport of boxing. After Curtis Harper took a couple of years hiatus because of the critique and the embarrassment that he received by the fans of those beautiful sport, from having walked away from the ring against Efe Ajagbe in 1 second. He stepped in, they called his name, the bell rung, he stepped out the ring. Nobody bothered to hear him out. Nobody bothered to understand him. And of course, even though he spoke and he made his actions clear, people still thought that he was cowardly, a person that had no word. And after a couple of years, he started to come back, and he had a fight with Richard Torres and men like that caliber of fighters, the up-and-comers, whose job it is for him to upset him. Of course, Richard Torres went 12 rounds with this individual, 10 rounds, if not mistaken. And then I think he ended up stopping him. This is a little while back, and I have done drugs, so I don't have the best of minds. I forget a lot of things. But I believe he stopped Curtis Harper. So Curtis Harper, I've been researching the man, and he went back to Tennessee to try and rebuild his career. He wanted to make a last hurrah. He got an opportunity last week on Tuesday in Country Box 24/7, a very beautiful promotion that meshes country music with boxing in a saloon style environment. And this gentleman walked in there with a fighter by the name of Kaleb Slaughter. And in less than 1 minute, the very first entanglement, I don't think any punches had really been thrown or landed, but they entangled in the ropes. Kaleb Slaughter pushed him from one corner to the opposite, pushed him out the ring, hopped on top of him, threw a swipe at him when the man was already knocked out, because I believe he hit himself in the back of the head against maybe not the turnstile, but the stand that holds the ring upright. He threw a punch, I believe it missed it, and then he threw a soccer style kick. Everybody hopped on top of Kaleb Slaughter, trying to separate him, but Curtis Harper remained immobilized on the floor. A lot of brouhaha, commotion. Slaughter gets pushed out the environ, and then I become disgusted, and I changed the channel. Warp Speed had been promoting this small promotion because it's free, and because I love to give the unknowns and the up-and-comers' chances. So I promoted it on my Instagram. I promoted it on my YouTube. Yeah, in case you guys don't know, I, unfortunately or fortunately, whatever you guys want to say, I do have an Instagram. My children helped me create it when I was doing some political moves for the Chicano movement, in particular cruising in the city of Salinas, California. In fact, I'm not too sure if you guys know this, but I am partially responsible, and even the politicians locally here in Salinas will attribute the speech that I made before the city council for why they legalized cruising in Salinas, California after almost 30 years. But that's neither here nor there. My children helped me create this thing, and I was promoting this promotion for boxing, and then I'm not too sure how many people watched it, but I thank them for being braver than me for not having been disgusted and continued watching on that event. The next following day on ProBox TV, another free channel that I promote, Jonathan Sosa came from Argentina to Plant City, Florida, and fought an up-and-comer, formerly from the Mayweather camp, a fighter with a 5-0 record, 5 knockouts. Jonathan Sosa had been on a 13 out of 14 fight loss streak. 7 of those losses by a knockout. But yet he went in there, and in about 1.5 minutes, the fight was over. Why? Because his opponent, Terrence Williams, landed 2 incredibly perfectly placed and powerful double left hooks that cut through the guard, opened him up. The other one landed flush. The man was toppling over, already knocked out. He hits the back of his head, the dorsal part of his cranium, against the mat, but it was overkill, because it all had started when his opponent, Williams, had thrown a hook to the back of the head, which brought him down. His opponent used his left hand to hold him there, and it threw a 12-6 powerfully in the nape of the neck. Sosa complained. The referee gave him a few seconds to recover. He asked him if he could go on. Jonathan Sosa tells me that he made a mistake. He wanted to perform for the people, and he went in there knowing he didn't feel well. And then, c'est la vie. Now, I've told this story before, but why am I rehashing this now? Well, because something else happened this past weekend, on Mother's Day of all days. Sherif Lawal, UK Londoner, middleweight prospect, 29-year-old, who some people had stated he was an inspiration for their gyms. He was going to be the next guy up. He'd been training for 5.5 years, doing excellently. On Mother's Day, Sender, he's the very first bout of the night for Warren Boxing Promotions, and he goes in there. He's going to be performing 6 rounds for the people against this fighter that had been on a win streak until he stopped being on a win streak, a Portuguese fighter, Malam something. I can't remember what his name is. And he goes in there against Malam Varela. There you go. Malam Varela. I had to Google it. I hate to just leave things unattended to. And by the 3rd round, he had been hit concussively. He looked a bit off. He walked into the 4th. He takes a shot to the temple. He topples over. The ref starts to 10 count. He stops midway. He knows something is off. He immediately calls the paramedics. The paramedics hop on the ring. And before the spectacle The spectators watching there. For 20 minutes, they bring out the defibrillator to try to artificially stimulate his heartbeat and perform cardiopulmonary resuscitation to no avail. For 20 minutes, everybody stays stunned and frozen in suspense and in dread. He is escorted out there in a stretcher, lifeless. Now, these events here gave me a lot of attention on my channel because a lot of people, I started to promote these things and report these things, and a lot of people were dismissing the severity of these events. They were belittling the sacrifices that these fighters take because of the fact that I call them sacrifices. They said that they don't sacrifice anything because they're doing it for money. Yeah. Is that why we fight, guys? Is that why we do it, ladies and gentlemen? Do we willingly pursue the fight because we've no recourse for remuneration? Do people think the sport of boxing pays handsomely? That really is one of the things that I started to ask these guys. Do you think Sherif Lawal, when he walked into his very first professional fight on Mother's Day, past Sunday, do you think he got paid enough to cover his funeral expenses? Did Jonathan Sosa have enough money after he paid for his medical expenses, after he was concussed and went into a Florida-based hospital? Do you think he had any money afterwards to pay for the flight back to Argentina? Or did he become indebted? Or what about Curtis Harper? Did he go back to boxing at a saloon, a bar, because there's so much money in it? Man, these people were saying they don't sacrifice because apparently the boxer is doing it only because of being shrewd and being money hungry and greedy. That's why these people fight, ladies and gentlemen. That's why they fight, right? No, it has nothing to do with trying to survive their surroundings, the vicious streets, their abusive households. No, it has nothing to do with that. It doesn't have anything to do with trying to just be fit individuals that discover they have a talent and a desire to be competitive. It has nothing to do with that, does it? It has nothing to do with trying to leave a legacy for the fans. It has nothing to do with entertaining them, does it? I think it has everything to do with those things. And I think money, for as much as people want to dream that that's why they do it, I think that's secondary, because at the end of the day, these guys don't get paid that much. Not until you reach the highest of echelons, and rarely does anybody ever reach those echelons. Rarely do any fighters even make it to television, and even those that make it to television do not get paid handsomely like most people think. If you want to become wealthy without having to sacrifice the neurons of your gray matter, go to school. Do not get involved in the sport. But when you are an amateur, an aspiring novice, if you are trying to get wealthy from this, My apologies for being so brutally honest. But this road is paved with broken glass shards. It is a trail of betrayal. It is a crooked path of corruption and naysayers and people that will boo you. They will cheer on your nemesis when you lose and forget you. But when you're winning, they're all your friends. But as easily as they are your friends the next week, you're no one to them because you're not indispensable. You are a tool for their entertainment, and yet they deny you that that's why you do it. They deny that you entertain. They say that you do it for greed. To the fighters out there in the world, I salute you because your job is the toughest, most valiant of human endeavors. Whereas other men and women fight and go to war because their politicians and their leaders puppeteer them, you go to war willingly, no one to puppeteer you, for the sake of being a fit, competitive individual with the heart of a warrior and the fists of iron. You have my respect. Arimeri, good even for you. Hello from Senegal. Now you're in Senegal. Oh, well, see, so Arimeri, he's a world traveler. He was in Chile one day. Then he was in, what was it? Was that Uzbekistan? And then you were in San Diego selling, no, you were gonna, where were you? You were selling Maruchan somewhere, Arimeri. Danita Poo 670 says, oh, I just watched your shorts. Well, thank you very much and good even fall to you. Thank you very much, Danita Poo 670, for joining us in this here live. This is your interlocutor, Warp Speed, and I appreciate you visiting this small little channel that is dedicated to respecting all things pugilism, in particular, the sport of boxing, bare knuckle fighting, boxing, MMA, anywhere where a person gets a chance to fight for themselves, to bring and provide for their family. This is the place where you are welcomed. And I do not chastise people for just seeing these fighters as instruments of entertainment. I do not chastise people for laughing if somebody dies in the ring. I get it. This world is twisted, and it's made us cynical and pessimistic, and for many of us, it's developed the callous of the soul. We have become hardened by everything that is around us. So when we see these men and women go out there and slowly bleed and die for our entertainment, we may just think, oh, no big deal. But I hope to present reasons why we should value these individuals. So thank you very much for joining us. And the lady up on the screen, I'm not too sure if you, ladies and gentlemen, know who this lady is. But this is Heather Hardy, a boxer for over 10 years that made the transition to MMA for a couple of years. And if I'm not mistaken, she announced her retirement without announcing her retirement. In the report and boxing scene titled Heather Hardy appears to announce retirement while stating neurological concerns, and written by Mr. Ben Blackwell, she stated and quoted, "I've had too many concussions." And I think she eloquently says this: when you have a concussion, a piece of your brain dies and you never get it back. In 10 years, I've had too much brain damage. I can't get any more, or else I won't be able to see. No running, no jogging, no jumping rope, and no getting hit in the head. What Miss Heather Hardy is alluding to is her retirement from the sport, on account that if she even starts to skip rope, just the agitation of her brain upon her skull will be enough to expose her vision to loss. Imagine that, ladies and gentlemen. There you are. The sport of boxing having taken you all over the world. Fighting in Puerto Rico, fighting in the United States, fighting in the UK. Seeing all the beautiful things, having a daughter to provide for. You've traveled the world. The people have clamored for your presence. They've cheered you on. They've presented you their plaudits. They've booed you. You've lost. You've overcome and redeemed yourself. And then a neurologist tells you, Heather, if you even skip rope, you may go blind. Every single thing you've seen in life that's maybe attracted you or you've found beauty in, you may never see again. Right? This is the reason why I value the sport, because of the sacrifices. And God forbid that some of these guys get paid, right? Like some of these people that have been telling me they don't do nothing worth speed for us. They're not doing it for our entertainment. They could care less about us. And I'm thinking to myself, do you not understand that the only reason these guys get paid is if you are entertained? That's why fighters like Shakur Stevens are having a hard time having offers to them for continuation in the sport of boxing and being promoted, because he put on a stinker of a performance his last bout. That's why Manuel El Vaquero Navarrete is going to be fighting for another belt in his third, maybe fourth weight class against an undefeated, I think, Ukrainian, Denis Baranchyk, tomorrow, filling up stadiums in San Diego, in California, in Arizona, in Mexico. We think they don't get paid to entertain? Entertainment is a necessity in the sport of boxing. So absolutely, the sport of boxing cannot exclude entertainment from the ability of it to provide remuneration. If you cannot entertain, you will not get paid. So when I tell these individuals they do it for your entertainment, it's true. They may not necessarily be doing it exclusively for that. But I assure you, they have no future in the sport if they do not go in there and entertain you. It's 100% a venture of entertainment for you. For them, it's a lifestyle, and they may be doing it for many reasons, but I assure you they do not do it for greed, because the likelihood of you even getting to those levels of making any kind of profit from this venture are quite minimal. So I just wanted to take this small time, these 30 minutes right here, to just commend Heather Hardy for the entertainment that she's provided for me and my family and for the world at large. I want to thank Jonathan Sosa for having come over here and left his family behind in Argentina to come over here and get knocked out for our entertainment, and also to pad the record over Terrence Williams on account that he had the knockout of the year so far. I want to thank Mr. Curtis Harper, and I hope that he is doing well. And of course, Sherif Lawal, for your ultimate sacrifice, for your death in the ring. At 29 years of age, your very first professional fight, that you should try to pursue your dreams of becoming a professional fighter and encouraging your peers in the gym to willingly do that day in, day out. I appreciate you, and I hope that the boxing gods look down upon you with satisfaction, knowing that there are many cowardly people that do not value you. Purpose and the meaning, right? I was trying to understand the distinction between purpose and the meaning. A lot of us ask questions about what's the meaning of life. I think most people have asked themselves that. And of course, that's a very loaded question, right? When we say what's the meaning of life, we're basically trying to ask, what is the meaning of existence? And I think the better way of phrasing the question would be, what's the meaning of my life? Right? Because let's start there. No one knows you better than yourself. What's the meaning of your life? When researching this matter, I found this little quote by Dr. Paul Wong, who states, meaning, otherwise known as logos, is how something or someone is defined, as well as an intention or reason for doing something. In other words, meaning is the intention or reason for doing something, while purpose, otherwise known in psychology, if I'm not mistaken, as telos, is the fulfillment or consummation of the meaning. So meaning is the reason or intent for doing something, and purpose is the fulfillment or the consummation of that meaning. So I guess one is subservient and part of the other, but I guess the bigger one, of course, would be meaning in that case, right? And he continues on, it says, one intends, the other accomplishes. So meaning intends, purpose accomplishes. I took a philosophy course once. It was entertaining for a while. Then we reached this one of the most influential philosophers of all, philosophists, right? Socrates, if I'm not mistaken. And he had the Socratic method, which was just basically getting at answers, or the closest approximation to what most would consider an answer, by asking questions, and then you answer. And then on that answer, he asks you questions, and then you answer that, and then you get asked again about that answer. And then at the end of the day, what it's supposed to boil down to is that whatever you consider to be an answer has a question that questions that, So you answer that question, and then you question that answer to that question, and you go so deep until the point that either you go back in a circle or you get down to brass tacks, which is the root of the matter. I found it to be mental masturbation, because I wasn't smart enough to ever get to the root of something. I just kept being stuck in the circle of questions to the point of mental fatigue. I guess I'm a person of action, right? I don't have time to ponder for infinity a simple matter at hand, when there are so many other things that I could do without thinking. Not that I'm a brute, not that I am an ass or an unthinking individual, nothing like that. It's just that I found it that I can think enough when doing something, or what you can call praxis, philosophy, and action in one. Balance. But just philosophy, to philosophize for the sake of philosophy, I found it to be a bit redundant. Now, what I'm trying to get at is this. What is your purpose? Why are you here, Pachuco? What do you intend on accomplishing in this beautiful thing called existence? I ask you, Arimeri, hitting me up from Senegal. I ask you, what do you want to accomplish in life? Danita Poo 670, I ask you, what do you want to accomplish? In this beautiful thing called life. Sergey Kovalev. Yup, that's Sergey Kovalev, the Krusher. He is coming back to fight at 41 years of age, after being exactly 2 days away from being 2 years to the date of his last fight. Sergey Kovalev is fighting on tomorrow's historic undisputed heavyweight bout in the 4-belt era. Sergey, the Crusher Kovalev, the Russian, he will be fighting a man a decade his junior by the name of Sirwan Safar, with the record of 16-0, 0 draws. Sergey Kovalev last fought 2 years ago against a fighter by the name of Pulev. I believe that's Pulev's younger brother, who had a record of 16-0 and 0 draws. He fought that undefeated fighter, and he won unanimously. Now, prior to that, his last fight had been with Saul Santos Alvarez Barragan in 2019. He lost to Canelo, went on and didn't fight for 3 years, almost 2.5 years. Fought Pulev's brother, beat him, and then walked away from the sport for 2 more years. He was 39 then, he's 41 now, and he's fighting somebody 31 years old and undefeated. And you may be asking yourself, why is he doing it? Well, he was actually interviewed most recently, right? by seconds out, if I'm not mistaken. Or that black kid, the one that became very famous because he interviewed Wilder, and that's the one kid that he said, to this day, to this day. That guy, I don't, Radio Raheem. There you go, Radio Raheem. Radio Raheem, and he asked him, "Why are you back?" And he said, "I want to retire as a champion." Now we know that there's been fighters that have fought into their 40s. Bernard Hopkins, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Money Mayweather. There's been Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. All those caliber fighters, right? And we know it's possible that they could become champions. Some of the best have done it. And let's not discredit the Krusher Kovalev. He is one of the best light heavyweight fighters in recent years. He did not fight Artur Beterbiev, and he did not fight Dmitry Bivol. But the ones that he did fight, including Ward, I believe he ended up beating in the first fight, even though they gave it to the other guy. And in the second fight, of course, he was cheap-shotted. He was almost castrated from all the low blows that Andre, son of God, Ward, was landing on him. But long story short, he said, "I want to become champion again." He's fighting now at cruiserweight, just shy of 200 pounds. 41 years of age. So if anybody can, become a champion at this age, I would say the Crusher can, right? Because the one thing that leaves you in the sport of boxing is your power. And we know he has power. But he says he wants to retire as a champion. Think about that. The fighter that he's fighting is not going to offer him a bout. The guys at cruiserweight, there's going to be people like Jay Opataya, Zurdo Ramirez, Maris Brady, whoever wants that rematch between him and Jay Opataya. And I'm not too sure who else is there right now. But those are some tall orders. They're huge asks for somebody that's 41 years of age. To fight somebody that's, 29, 28, 29, Jay Opataya, Zurdo, who's around 28, 29, maybe 31. Maris Brady, who I think he is in his 30s, early 30s. I don't know. It's a tall ask, I think. But he wants to do it. And why? Because he doesn't want to end his participation in the sport because other people tell him he shouldn't come back. He wants to live life on his own terms. And his purpose in life is to fight on and on and on and be on top. Is that not inspirational? Do you not get inspired? I found it to be inspirational. And I'm not too sure if Sergey Kovalev will win tomorrow's fight, or the long layoffs are going to take their toll, along with the father time. But we'll get to see it tomorrow. And I hope somebody there values the man for his daring do, instead of just pointing out how imbecilic and unlikely it is how he is thinking and his moves towards championship. Dream, are you there?
Hello, how are you?
I am doing well. How do you do?
I'm doing great. What is the subject you were talking about right now?
Yeah, the introduction is just basically a bit of me in my ruminations, just finding ways to report on the news of the day and to balance that out with my respect that I have for these fighters. So I was just going through a couple of news. Heather Hardy basically announced her retirement without necessarily saying so. That's the beautiful bloodied lady before us. And of course, Sergey Kovalev, 41 years of age, was coming back. I had an opportunity to, you know, commemorate Sherif Lawal, who passed away on Mother's Day. And now we will talk about tomorrow's fights. I don't want to just make it a doom and gloom, philosophy kind of thing. Nope. I just want to always present something that inspires, and I hope I have succeeded. But I do want to talk about what will transpire tomorrow with these incredible heavyweights that will be pit against each other and the square to ring for the world to see who comes out on top in the first undisputed fight in the four sanctioning body era. And I guess I should just ask you right there, Dream. You're a betting man. If you had to bet, are you betting the odds for who is the winner, or are you betting against the odds and going for the underdog? And who is the underdog?
Yeah, so I'm thinking about this fight. You know, with a clear mind. Like I'm uh aware of what both guys can do. Um, but I've done some observations, and honestly, when I last time I said Tyson Fury, right, and Rick was like, "Why?" I
Yeah.
said because he finds a way to win. He finds a way to win, and I just feel like his size is gonna be the big difference. It's it's more than just about Usyk's skill.
Mhm,
It's gonna show.
mhm,
Um, I think this is the most movement, like the most athletic fighter that he's gone in the ring
mhm,
with the most lateral movement.
mhm.
Um, so I think he can actually take a punch as well. I mean, this is the thing. Usyk isn't the hardest puncher.
Yeah, no, he's not.
He is not gonna knock out Fury. He's not. And and Fury is not gonna knock out Usyk. If anything, if you think about who's probable, which probability is higher, or is well, how do you say it? Like what's more likely to
Mhm.
happen? Like if either guy gets knocked out, probably gonna be Usyk. Um,
Whoa, whoa,
it's probably gonna
wow.
be Usyk. They're gonna probably gonna
Uh,
stop that, and it's
wait,
because of
wait. Yeah, yeah. Okay, sorry. Go, go. Why is that?
because Tyson. I don't think Tyson Fury is that scared of Usyk's power.
Hmm.
He's felt power before. Ngannou is a full-fledged heavyweight. He did like he was all muscle. Usyk is building muscle for this fight.
That is
It's
true. Yeah.
not it's not weight that he's had for a while, you know? He's 233 pounds.
Hmm.
Um that is about 20 pounds more than what he's used to weighing in at.
Hmm.
And it's not fresh. It's not like old muscle. It's new muscle. And there's a difference. I feel like when you have been weighing the same for a long time, and you're like barely. molding yourself to be a heavyweight, and it's like he's doing good. He's actually, um, he's beating top guys. Talking about Usyk, and uh, you know, you've seen him get hurt to the body, nonetheless, though, regardless if it was a low blow or not. Um, his reaction to the other blows, besides the one he kneeled kneeled down for in the Daniel Dubois fight, um, he actually, you know, he actually got hurt, and his reaction says it all. So that's the thing with Tyson Fury. He's not gonna go to the body just because he's so damn tall, and he's gonna get so open, and he's gonna be so open to the shots, and he's gonna keep his distance if anything, and that's why he's forced to go to the head more than anything. And that's why I was saying Tyson Fury is more than likely to get a knockout, even though he doesn't really get knockouts. Um, he's gonna just outbox with Tyson Fury and keep him at distance. You can't. He can't. He can be talented as much as he wants to be, and be athletic and have side to side movement. But if you can't reach him, then what's all that for? He's gonna run, in my opinion. Um, and if he catches him, it's gonna be because um, and I'm talking about Tyson Fury catching Usyk. If he does that, it's gonna be because he was like chasing too much, you know. And how much can he chase? I've done some real research, and I'm more than confident. Um, as a betting man, you know.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna add this to a parlay, obviously. Um, multiple ways. Um, I'm banking in. I'm more than confident that this thing goes the distance. Like I'm
Yeah, I
more
think
than
that's likely. I think that's very likely.
yeah. That's like 100% right there. And I don't know the distance. I need to check it out. Um, I did volunteer to work tomorrow, so I gotta get some bets in tonight. Um, and get some parlays going. And yeah, man. I think I just feel more than confident than that Usyk is. I mean, Usyk. Tyson Fury is gonna get this dub by decision. Uh, and Usyk will be the one um, chasing all night. You know, um,
Usyk would be
Ooh,
chasing
yeah, he's gonna
the
chase.
the way bigger uh way bigger uh object in the ring. He would chase that guy. Man, I don't know. It's like I don't know how to imagine that. But I do think this, right? Um, the the person who has a history of being knocked down in quite a few fights, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's already been knocked down at least three different times, is Luke Tyson Fury, right? And if not mistaken, I think although he is not the most powerful, obviously, because Oleksandr Usyk started as low as in the middleweight division when he was in the Olympics as a youngster. I think he's also knocked down and out men such as Daniel Dubois. Wait, no, I think that was Joe Joyce. Um, Joseph Parker, maybe, or someone, some of those fighters right there. So he has power. He can't stop him if he is, you know, manhandling you and outboxing you for a while. He does have a crazy uh, work rate, and not only that, he can also pace himself. And we know that the one thing that Oleksandr Usyk has is that extra win. Like for example, everybody goes back and looks at that second fight where he had a very tough round against Anthony Joshua in the ninth, where Anthony Joshua looked like he was about to stop him. He was just pushing him back, going to the body, having all kinds of success. And then what happened? As soon as he got that 1 minute rest, he went back on the tent and he clearly dominated Anthony Joshua in the tent. He's got that second wind. He's able to overcome the pressure, and the one thing that he comes that has become part of his abilities is the way that once he knows he's lost a round, he's able to make up for it by becoming much more competitive on the subsequent rounds. So that's the one thing that Oleksandr Usyk is known for overwhelming his opponents. He's definitely got the better angles of him and Oleksandr Usyk. I mean, him and Tyson Fury, and of course, he's going to be easier to level around the taller fighter. But I think you're right. The one thing that the Gypsy King has is the ring IQ to somehow always come out on top. Um, whether that's through coming forward and pressuring you, or being a backwards fighter, just circling around, jabbing, whether it's hitting and holding, or applying that weight on you. And she's even, let's be honest, even throwing elbows like he apparently did to Francis Ngannou. I think he threw like two elbows to Francis Ngannou and hit one of them very fleshly. He figures out a way to become triumphant. And I agree with you, this fight likely ends having gone all 12 rounds. As far as who wins, all I can say is that I would prefer that Oleksandr Usyk win. I don't think because he would win that it would be a bad thing for the sport, because I know a lot of people think that the boxing world, especially the corrupt individuals at the helms of the sport, would want Fury to win on account that he would become undisputed and then he might take on an Anthony Joshua. I don't think that's likely. I think Tyson Fury would prefer to become undisputed and walk away from the sport than facing Anthony Joshua. But similarly, I also think that Usyk would become undisputed and walk away from the sport. Now, they do have a rematch clause, so any way that it
Yeah,
happens, they could always come up and make it up. But I think that Oleksandr Usyk is much better than Vladimir Klitschko, much more creative than that guy, much better than Otto Wallin, much better than Dylan White, much better than someone like Francis Ngannou, and especially Deontay Wilder. I think.
yeah, yeah. Go
Mhm.
ahead, keep going.
No, I was just gonna
Sorry.
say that I think you cannot prepare for somebody like Alexander Usyk, like no lightweights can prepare for somebody like Lomachenko, right? You have to figure him out right then there on the spot. You can see footage and all that thing, but it's just different when you're upon it. But that was all that I wanted to say.
Yeah, no, I think he's just gonna play it safe, man. Like his IQ is what got him here. I mean, and he knows how to use his size to his advantage. Um, I know the weight it's gonna be a little different. He's not gonna if he ever decides to lean on Usyk, it's not gonna be as effective as when he was heavier, and that's what he kind of banked in on most of the time, especially with Wilder. Um, but I just feel like if he were to do that, it would be a little dangerous because Usyk is strong and he is able to like shake him off a little bit and land a couple of good shots on him. So I just hope if if Fury is gonna win, he's gonna have to keep him at bay, keep him at the end of his jab, and he's just gonna play it safe. He's gonna run, man. He's gonna run, and that's what Devin tried to do against Aloma, but he doesn't have that like size advantage compared to like a dude like Fury, and
Mhm.
yeah, man, I see what people are saying. Like, I feel like he does have the the shots to actually catch him. I just someone that size, it's just kind of hard to see, especially how he looked against the Daniel Dubois. Like he
Mhm.
was kind of like outboxing him, but Fury's a good boxer too, man. Like he can box with you a little bit, but um, I also want to say uh, if Usyk lands a hard one on Fury, I want to see his reaction. You know, like because I don't think it's gonna budge him. You know, I think he knows what power is, um, and I think he knows he has good footwork for him not to get dropped and for him not to really put himself in bad positions. You know, like a AJ. You know,
Mhm.
AJ got probably needed some faster hands for a Usyk. You know, especially with the dude like Andy Ruiz. I think Andy Ruiz has a solid chance of beating a Usyk solely
Yeah,
because
yeah,
of his
of course.
solely
Speed.
solely because of his hand speed. And guess what? Fury got that too. He got that flick jab. It's like fucking fast. No, I'm just kidding. But but yeah, no, it's he's got that too, and he's got size. So I was like, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, keep him at bay, keep him at the end of your punches, and fucking run. Not run,
Yeah,
but
circle.
like, yeah, circle around and use the whole ring and I think he's just too lengthy for him, man. Like Usyk's a good boxer, but
Mhm.
man, a good what's that saying? A
A
good
good big man beats a good small man.
Yeah, and that's just
Yeah,
what it is. And it's gonna I
yeah.
feel like it's true in this story right here. You know, it's gonna be a great fight though. I mean, for the real boxing fans, I feel like it's gonna be entertaining, but in between me well, I guess I was gonna say between me and you, I think it's gonna be a boring fight.
Oh my
It's
God! Come on.
yeah,
All right, all right, all right. I'll give you. All right,
go ahead.
okay. I'll give you that because you are right on one thing. One of the most boringest fights that I've seen in the past decade, and to tell you the honest truth, probably uh, in all of my life, has been Luke Fury against Vladimir Klitschko. It was literally one of the most boring affairs I've ever seen. There was, of course, I think it was Mark Masayo or the other Filipino, the one who got disciplined for, I think, walking into the sauna the night before trying to make weight, and then the BBOC ended up finding out and disciplining him. I forget what his name is. Maybe it's not Mark Masayo. Maybe it's the other guy that's very mean to Nolito Donaire. Um, but him, he fought.
Who?
Uh, uh,
Go
name
ahead,
me a
keep going.
couple of Filipino. No, name me a couple of Filipino fighters from
Mark
the
Masayo,
Philippines. Yeah, not him. He's good.
Mauricio
Not
Gesta.
No, not Mauricio Gesta. And it's not Astrolabio. No, it's not him. It's the guy who dyes his hair.
Oh, he got knocked out by
Oh, John Riel Casimero. John Riel
yeah.
Casimero fought Regan Diao, and it was one of the most boring fights ever. Now, it wasn't as bad as Shakur Stevenson's versus De Los Santos, but it was up there. I If there's any fights that I recommend, no person fight, because if you watch that fight, you will be turned off by the sport of boxing. It would be those three fights, but there is a special place in the sport of boxing for Tyson Fury versus Vladimir Klitschko that they would probably put that away in a very hidden part of history so that nobody could ever accidentally run into it. But yeah, I think you're right. If we put that fact that Luke Fury can put on a very boring fight, we could imagine that it could be boring tomorrow. We could imagine that he throws a 1-2 holds, 1-2 holds, just like what's his name, the guy from the UK. Uh, there's a couple of fighters that hit and hold, right? And Tyson Fury is one of the best. So I think you're onto something. I think it could be a very boring fight.
Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be if Tyson Fury wins, you know, I think that's why he's playing it safe because Usyk is actually dangerous. You know, I'm actually giving him his props. Like Like I'm not saying that that Fury's gonna win 100%. I'm saying it's gonna go the distance 100%. You know, and there's just the punch resistance of Fury, and there's just the size difference. You know, he's gonna take every single one of his punches. You know, and yeah, I just don't see Usyk putting in like a lot of like damage on Fury enough for him to like, you know, go down or take him serious. That's not serious, but because his footwork is serious. You know, like it's gonna cause issues. You know, he's gonna need to move around more. You know, if he tries to lean on him, Usyk and you Fury starts to like, you know, try to like rough him up. I think it's not gonna go good for him. You know, like I think if he tries to keep those punches short, I think Usyk has a solid chance of beating him
Yeah.
because of his boxing ability and stuff like that. But I think that I'm banking then on Fury being smart and keeping him at the end of his jab. And like it just would be a wouldn't it's not a good idea. It's not a
Yeah.
good idea to be in the box with a dude like Usyk. You know, he's just gonna dance around him and just fucking make his head pop back. But Usyk, I mean, Fury's smarter than that.
And he's got the center of gravity, and of course, because he's naturally smaller and shorter, he can, level. He can employ levels better than the taller guy because he could go to the body, go to the head. He can do much more things, and he can throw that overhand left or right, whatever he wants to do. Um, to catch the Rocky Mountain oyster eating Tyson Fury. But let me ask you something. Because here's the thing, though, right? We are talking about a fighter as big as Tyson Fury, who came in, if I'm not mistaken, the lightest he's ever fought in. 162 pounds. I think it was 264 pounds versus uh, 232 pounds. So one guy weighed about 32 pounds more than the other guy. That's not a big difference considering the height and reach dimensions. This is actually Tyson
You
Fury's probably the fittest he's ever been in. What do you think about the strategy of one guy going up in weight and another guy going down in weight and trying to meet themselves in the middle? How do you think that will fare for both of these fighters? Because, like you stated, in the case of Oleksandr Usyk, he's trying to acclimate his body to additional density, additional mass, right? And trying to move that body capably, knowing that he's having to gorge, he's having to consume a lot of protein to try to provide density to his muscles, and at the same time work out. I have been hearing that he's been performing quite well as sparring partners. There's rumors that there was at least five or six that had to go home early because he's just been on the tear. I cannot imagine who would emulate a fighter like Tyson Fury. There was one guy, I forget who it was, but I got to read I got to watch a video about him a couple of months ago. They brought him in. I can't remember who it was, but they brought him in to emulate the Tyson Fury style. But otherwise, it's gonna be hard to find somebody a la the Tyson Fury. But similarly, uh, there's gonna be people like Jay Opataya that can help Tyson Fury fight somebody like Oleksandr Usyk. Why? Because those are men that are shorter in stature, very capable. They move well. They may not necessarily be a southpaw, but here's the other thing: Fury is an ambidextrous fighter. He can fight orthodox. He can fight southpaw. When you look at these guys in their body, the changes that each of them made for for this fight, who has the advantage?
for Fury and Usyk,
Yeah, like what
I
I
thought
mean.
because you said Joe Apatow right now. I was like, who?
Oh no, that was just an example of one of the sparring partners
Oh,
that Fury brought in a couple of months ago. You heard those rumors. Jay Pataya ended up hurting Tyson Fury. They ended up having some kind of a tit for tat. He kicked him out. I think it was just rumors to sell the fight a while back when it was gonna be set up. Remember that moment where Fury ended up getting cut at the brow. But who do you think has the advantage? One guy having to change his body into a heavier version of himself, or the other guy who's coming at his lowest?
hmm. I think. I think. I mean, it's context, right? Like, if you, uh, yeah, if you, Fury's different though. Like, he actually has never been this light because he was like, he was never really like focused and all that. Like, he's always like been kind of overweight, and yeah, I think maybe maybe it kind of weakens that chin, maybe. But I also feel like he's gonna have way more cardio, and he's just gonna. His head is still at 6'9". Like, it's still way the fuck. His chin is way the fuck up there still. It's not gonna change. Like, Usyk is gonna have to catch that chin because um, I just feel like he's not gonna go down by no body punches. You know. Um, yeah, dude. I just feel like it's gonna favor you, Fury, bro. Like, he's gonna be able to move around more. Uh, he has good cardio because of it, and yeah, man, I don't see no like with Usyk, he's putting on muscle, so you would think it's slowing him down. You know, his
Mhm,
his hands are slowing down pretty much. Um, so that he needed speed.
mhm,
So it's just a lot of like, it's hard to move up in weight in general rather
mhm,
than moving down. I feel like you know, um, it can also look similar to like a fight like what's his name, Esparza or Spinoza versus Robeisy Ramirez. It could look similar to
oh,
that,
okay. Yeah.
you know, um, except without the knockdowns. Maybe the knockdowns as well, but um, Espinoza still ended up winning that fight. Or Esparza, what's his name? Espinoza or
Yeah. So
Espinoza?
there's Rafael El Divino Espinosa and
Yeah,
Robesi El Tren Ramirez.
yeah, it can look similar to that, and
Mhm.
Tyson Fury could still end up winning. You know, uh, yeah. So I can see it going like that. And look at the size difference in that. It's similar to this fight. So um, Tyson Fury is just at another level, bro. Not another level. I think they're both at the same level as far as like pedigree and stuff like that, and greatness and all this. But um, this is literally number one and number two right here. It literally doesn't get any better than this. So we're gonna see a good fight, a chess match. We're gonna see a chess match, and I feel like Tyson Fury knows. Oh, this is another thing. The refs, are the refs gonna allow this fight and to be a hug fest, or is Fury gonna be forced to run or to not like hug him as much? You know, um,
Yeah.
we'll see. It's also the ref can play a big part as well. What do you think about the ref? You think the
Goodness.
ref will, with the way Tyson Fury fights? You think because he likes to hug it out, you know, like he'll grab you and he'll fucking hug you and push you back out because he has a long reach, you know.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? I'll just harken back to what Jonathan Sosa told me, right? Um, he messaged me and he told me. I told him,
Who?
you know, Jonathan Sosa, the guy who got knocked out by Terrence Williams last week. knockout of the year, the guy who ended up having a seizure on the floor for a few seconds, right? Um, I asked him what happened, and he told me this is what happened to me. And he admitted, he said, I was feeling unwell, and I told the ref, and the ref told me, can you continue? And he shook it off and he said, yeah, okay, I can continue. And he confessed to me, he said, I should have told them, no, I couldn't, or I needed some time, because I did feel very bad. Now, he did not advocate for himself, but you know who did? The last time that Anthony Joshua got hit by a fighter, his last fight, he ended up getting hit by Daniel Dubois to the body, and it was a clean. Well, look, if you go back and you look at the footage and everything, you can say that it hit below the belt. But sometimes, even at the beginning of the fight, the guys will be like, you know what, you're riding your trunks very high, so I'm gonna let the belt line be fair. Anything below the belt line is low.
But
Now,
it's more than that. It was more than just the him getting dropped. Like, it was his reaction to the other body punches that Dubois was landing as
yes,
well.
yeah, but you see, Oleksandr Usyk was smart enough to play it off and to complain about it, so that he swayed the opinion, or he influenced the decision making of the third man in the ring, right? If we think that Oleksandr Usyk is just gonna allow the bigger, taller, and heavier uh, Fury to just hug him and bring him down and pressure him with all of his bulk over him, I think we're mistaken. I do not think Alexander Usyk would just go along with that and not complain. I absolutely think he will complain, and I believe he'll be loud enough to make it apparent that he is being fouled, or maybe being disadvantaged by
Yeah,
the
because
dirty tactics. Hmm.
low blows are not gonna happen with Tyson Fury. He's
No, I
just
don't
too
think so.
tall for them. Yeah,
Exactly. They're gonna be proper body shots, but
yeah,
if he starts to land on him, like, holding and hugging. See, here's the thing.
yeah.
Alexander Usyk does not hold and hug. He doesn't do that, right? He's always right in your face, circling, bobbing and weaving, and just making you miss and
No, but
capitalizing.
he
Hmm.
he kind of does what Andy Ruiz does. Like,
Which
he'll push
is,
you off real quick, and then right when you're in the mid range, he'll catch you. Kind of like what he did to AJ. You know,
yeah. Well,
he
that's
he was
like,
like,
proper clinching techniques.
yeah, but Tyson, Usyk kind of does the same thing. You know, so it's all about how the ref really allows them to fight. You know,
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I think Usyk will defend. Not only will defend himself, but he will be loud enough to claim that Luke Tyson Fury is being dirty, to the point of making sure that the ref does not continue allowing it. So I think it'll be forced to be a cleaner fight, on account that Usyk will speak about it. You see, I think um, he will demand, and he will outcry, in order for the ref to know that there is some uh, dirty boxing taking place, and he wants to keep it clean. And then it would be absolutely apparent, if, should the dirty boxing, on account of Tyson Fury, to continue, everybody will start to, of course, complain about that fight. Because, see, here's the other thing about this fight tomorrow, right? A lot of people think there's gonna be corruption at play, because the mega fight would be Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua. But people completely forget that there's a rematch clause. It's not just a one-way rematch clause. It's a two-way rematch clause. So even if Fury was to win, Alexander Usyk has a shot at making it up on the rematch. And even if Fury loses, he has an
you know
opportunity
what?
to make it up on the rematch. So the fight with a possible fight between Fury And Anthony Joshua is still not even a given because there's two fights that are gonna take place by default.
Right. And this is the thing. Like, you're right. It has to be a really close fight for that to happen. Really, the rematch. So you know, it's all about how this outcome really turns out. I'm pretty sure they had a lot of things set up when they had, for example, like Spence. Did you did you turn that off?
Yeah, I'm turning off the little music. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, yeah. Are you doing that or is it me?
Yeah, yeah, I'm doing that.
Okay, okay. Um, yeah, no, kind of like what happened to Spence and Crawford. Yeah, Spence and Crawford. There was a lot of talks with Spence fighting Canelo. That was then it was never Crawford versus Canelo, even though it's kind of less realistic. Like it's not as realistic as Spence due to their size. Spence was in the conversations of fighting Canelo next, and if he beat Crawford, you
Hmm.
know, so it just kind of depends on the outcome of this because you got AJ who had two opportunities to be in this fight. And he didn't capitalize on it, and he decided to complain about it. But I mean, um, I think it just depends. Like they're also trying to set that up still to this day. So I think if if it ends up being a draw, obviously there's gonna be a rematch. I can
Hmm.
see a draw. That's something I should bet on. Actually, should. And um, I
Yeah, I
wouldn't be
think a
surprised
draw
if,
would be
if
fine.
yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a trilogy. If one guy gives in because they can't stay focused for a second fight. And that's another thing. It's a mentality thing. Being in the trilogy or in a rematch with another dude that gave you so much challenge
Hmm.
is mentally uh it's like mentally exhausting,
Hmm.
because in reality, you're it if you fight three times or you go a trilogy with the guy. That means you have to stay in shape like he is for all those years or months, you know? That means you got to keep up with him in a sense. Or else when the
Hmm.
times come when that third match comes, your focus and your commitment to the game is going to show, in the third match. That's why you get a different type of fighter every single fight,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
cuz
That's true.
and just because they come with a different mentality, you never know what goes on in their personal life or whatever the case is. Allows them not to be as focused, but in reality, you're like in this hunt, uh, in and outside the ring, like who stays in better shape, all that,
Yeah,
So
now
if
that you
Tyson
mentioned it,
Fury, yeah,
no, now that you
uh,
mentioned it, I despise, I abhor the idea that there is a rematch after this fight. Um, man, why can't there just be winners and losers in life, right? Why can't we just have a undisputed fighter and then that's it? Let everybody climb up the ranks again. Let the loser
well,
climb up the ranks and have an opportunity to fight. Here's the
if there
thing,
isn't,
Dream.
go ahead.
Yeah, no,
If there
well, you know
isn't
my
a rematch,
philosophy. Hmm.
if there isn't a rematch, then just know they're gonna make that AJ fight. I guarantee you. They want that so bad, bro. Eddie Hearn is going to make that happen, bro. I
You mean
guarantee you.
that's if Usyk wins?
No, 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 no. If Fury wins, if Fury wins,
Oh, of
he's
course,
gonna
of
fight
course, of
AJ.
course.
He's
Well,
gonna fight AJ.
wait. There's been rumors that the reason that fight hasn't happened is because he does not want to fight. He doesn't want to face AJ because he would never want to lose to that guy, especially since he considers himself to be the greatest heavyweight that's come out of the UK and ever, right? Like he will not be able to live with himself should he lose to AJ. And the only way not to lose to AJ is not to fight that guy. He has some resentment. Apparently, some people would speculate he has some resentment towards AJ because he's the opposite of what he is. He is a beautiful, athletic black man, whereas he is an ugly, overweight white man, right? And it's the complete opposite. It's day and night. And he would not want to fight that guy because he does not want to expose himself at a loss towards that guy. He wants to say that he's the best fighter that's come out of the UK, the United Kingdom, and the only way he could say that he is that he has an opportunity to beat Oleksandr Usyk, or even if he loses to that guy, to be competitive. Where Anthony Joshua took 2 turns and always lost. If he's competitive, if he actually draws with that guy, he's already better than Anthony Joshua. If he beats the guy, he's better than Anthony Joshua. And I would wager that he would walk away from the sport than to face Anthony Joshua. He does not care about the money because he's made enough money. Some people have speculated that. I do have applied credence to that theory because he's pretty old now. He's in his 30s. He's probably like 32, going on 33. He says that he's done a lot. When proposed the fight with Anthony Joshua, he says he doesn't need the guy. He's the best heavyweight fighter in the world right now. So he doesn't think that he needs Anthony Joshua, who's, in his case, a 3 times loser.
You know
So
what I think they should. You know what I
what
think
should they
should
do?
happen.
Hmm.
I think he should. If Usyk wins, he should fight. He should fight Joe Appetite.
Well, Joe Appetite is could he if Jay Apataya wants to make a run at heavyweight, it wouldn't be a bad idea to start off at bridgerweight, because to make the
Oh,
jump
that's
from
right.
to, well, because just because there's vacant belts there, there's two satiety bodies that I think it's the WBC and the WBA that have actually consented to making champions and belts there. He could just make a pit stop there, make it a reputable division, because nobody really seems to care about the cruiserweight. If you guys don't know what the cruiserweight is, it basically means a heavyweight from 200 to 220 pounds. So it's like a pit stop for an ultimate heavyweight champion. But but here's the thing, Dream. Uh, if there is a champion coronated tomorrow, right? Let's say Fury wins or whoever. On the rematch, the other guy could win it. So then that's gonna leave the question of who is the best, because one guy won, the next guy won. Like you said, they're gonna run it a third time. That is one of the things that I most dread. That the belts are held up for another year and a half or two while these fights take place, while men waiting for the shot that could put up other exciting outcomes for the fights, that they don't get the shot to fight these guys from these four sanctioning bodies, because these guys
Well,
are tangled up in this infinity
well,
of
look,
fights.
look, like if it's a boring fight, they're not gonna make the rematch. But if it's entertaining and it's close and it comes out a draw, um, a lot of punches were thrown, hard rounds to score. I mean, um, and they could make the rematch, but they didn't make the Loma versus Devin Haney fight at the same time though. I'm just thinking about that right now. I tried to make another good point, but that's not a good example. That's actually kind of contradicting the point I'm trying
Yeah.
to make. But
But
yeah,
see,
I mean,
see the thing though. So,
yeah.
so see the thing is, um, Lomachenko didn't want a rematch because he believed in himself. He doesn't believe in rematches, and he thinks that there should be a fair winner and loser. That's how he sees it, right? Now,
Mm.
I don't think Alexander Usyk really cares about rematches, right? Like, he's never been the one to solicit rematches. When he was negotiating with Anthony Joshua, it wasn't him saying, "Okay, you know what? I'll fight you. There has to be a rematch clause." That was so Matchroom. That was so Anthony Joshua. That was so 265 Promotions, right? Um, Alexander Usyk, he believes in himself. He believes he's gonna win. He doesn't make it a contingency to say, "I will sign on the dotted line only if there is a rematch clause where I can get a shot at that belt again, right? So it benefits all the promotions involved to have a rematch, because the loser can have an opportunity to become undisputed, and having all four belts allows that champion to defend four different times or whatever, uh, for the ultimate fight once again, to pass on the lineage to whoever decides to step up into the ring when they have those belts, right? So it's obviously good for business. It's obviously good for the losing promotion to have a shot to get those belts back. But again, if there's a winner in the first and then there's a different winner in the second, they're gonna want to run it a third, unless of course the fights are boring, right? Unless of course the fights are completely dominant. Like for example, Terrence Bud Crawford fought Errol, the Truth Spence Jr., and it was such a defeat that the world of boxing said we don't want to watch that rematch.
What about? Let me.
Only some hardcore said it, but otherwise, and they were a fan of man, right? They were fan of man. They really thought that maybe on a better day, Spence could beat Crawford, but most people said, you know what? I don't even want to risk losing $80 for a fight that was not even competitive in the first place. Why would I want to do that again, right? Um, so there is some possibilities, but these are already rematches written as clauses for these contracts. So I think it's all bad news. If you don't mind, Dream, let me just read a couple of these messages. I want to acknowledge our commenters. Arimeri says, and I'm not too sure if he's joking. He's the biggest joker in the world, man. He's a legend. But he states, what do you all think about the fake eyebrow injury that Tyson Fury had? Speculations? The same makeup artists that were used on Day of Reckoning were used to create the fake cut. Did you see a cut on Fury? I didn't even bother to look at it.
No,
Oh yeah,
not a
maybe
thing.
they have the best plastic surgeons out there, Adi Medi. Um, and of course, he goes on. Uh, El Pachuco says it's a dog eat dog world. Responding to Adi Medi, I love it when our chat comments between themselves. El Pachuco says he's got Usyk by decision. Yeah, I do see that very likely. El Pachuco, I do see that. I don't see him knocking out Tyson Fury. So I think, but I do see him outboxing him, or at least getting a couple more rounds against the Gypsy King. So I think it's a very reasonable outcome. Eddie Medi says, I didn't see a scar and it was a mean deep cut. Yeah, you're right. I have to look tomorrow. Pachuco goes on and says, Usyk's sensitivity may be an important factor. Don't recall the last time date that Usyk fought. Yeah, it's been about a year or so, right? I think when he fought Daniel Dubois, Triple D. Uh, yeah. Edmedi reminds us that the postponement was due to Fury's advantage. Something is up his sleeve. Okay, so remember, on account
He
of
fought
that
in.
cut,
He
there
fought
was
in
a
August.
postponement of last year. But on
Yeah.
account of that cut, they would have fought in February, right? Um, and then of course Gypsy King suffered that cut, and then they had to postpone it for another 3 months or so. We're here on the date now. Mr. Vince Vargas could even follow you. He says, "Can't wait for the top rank card tomorrow. Watching the weigh-in now." Yeah, it's there's going to be great fights, great fights. And I think Pachuco reminds us that Emiliano Vargas always impresses me. A young, talented fighter, well spoken and articulate in both English and Spanish. He looks like the Mexican Elvis Presley. Yeah, he's a very gallant, handsome individual, clean cut, good, respectful kid. It's hard to not like an individual like Emiliano Vargas. There is one thing though. There is one thing that has changed in Emiliano, and it's a great step that he's taken. He has decided to come up from 135 up to the junior welterweight division of 140, and uh, and that's exciting
Why?
because I was gonna ask Pachuco, I was gonna ask you, I was gonna ask Vince Vargas to give me their opinions. Why was it that Emiliano
Well,
s- decided to go up to 140.
Maybe because of the opportunities that there was, at 140, compared to 135. Um,
Hmm.
uh, yeah, I
Okay,
also
let's run
feel
a
like
couple
there
of names.
was.
Let's go. Let's run a couple of names. Stream. Okay, who's at 140? Subriel Matias. You have uh, Juan. Jose Ramirez, JC Ramirez. You have Arnold Barbosa. You have Jack Cateral. You have Josh Taylor. Even though those guys have been inactive for like a year and they're entangled in their own fight, and Josh Taylor should have gone up to 140 by this time because of his inactivity. You have Devin Haney. You can't even count Ryan Garcia because he's really welterweight. He just blew through 140. Uh, you have that Russell kid, Gary Antoine Russell. Um, who else is out there at 140? I don't know.
And some of
Now
those
let
guys, were across the street.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. Now let's count who's at 135. You have Pitbull Cruz. You have Tank Davis. You got Kurt Stevens. If I'm not mistaken, tomorrow we're gonna have Emmanuel Navarrete. We have William El Camarón Cepeda. We have Pitbull Cruz. We have Rayo. We have Chris the Black Mexican Kobe. We have Frank Martin. We have, but the other guy, he just fought at 140. That's a lot of good fighters. I would ask you, where are the bigger names? Where are the biggest purses? Where are the best shots? And where are the best shots of becoming a champion? 140, 135.
I just
Oh, and
feel like,
let's not forget Abdullah Mason.
yeah, and maybe he was. Yeah, nah, we can't say that he was ducking anybody, really. I don't know, really. Honestly, like, I just want fighters to stay at their weights. If you got a highlight reel at 135, stay at that weight. Because you're getting knockouts at that weight class. It's like, I don't know, like it just kind of doesn't make sense to me, honestly. Um, you're already strong. You already, I don't know. I haven't really heard too much as far as like, like interviews, like and all that. Like, is he struggling to make weight? Is he killing himself, and is it not worth it or something? Like, is he trying to, you know, he's getting knockouts, So what's the reason? So that's really the only thing I can think of, that, or he's ducking somebody. Maybe he's forced to fight someone. He doesn't want to fight him, and he has to move up in weight because of it. You know, I don't know any name. Like, I do know a name in the stable, but I don't want to say that he beats him or who beats who,
Hmm.
because it's a great fight. But maybe they're also trying to, yeah, not have hard fights right now. They're trying to get their contender status.
Hmm.
And they're trying to, get a status, um, the easiest way possible without kind of killing their bodies or taking too much damage. You know, health is wealth.
Yeah,
And
health
if you
as well.
got if you got it and you have a contender belt already and you're only like two fights away, then
Hmm.
you can have a war or two, and get that belt. But
Hmm.
if you went through like 12 or 15 wars to get where you're at and you're still not a contender yet, it's like that's not how you kind of do it. So um Emiliano's, fighting some good solid fighters and he's getting knockouts. So
Yeah,
I don't know why he would stop, or I don't know why he would move up where the punches are harder and the risk is higher, unless the risk was already in his way, you know,
yeah.
like in his own, in
Well,
that division. So I don't know. I don't
yeah,
know.
no, I
There's
mean, look, if you
yeah.
if you told me to run the names at 140 and compare them to 135, I would think 135 is just deadlier, right? It's more of a loaded division. It's a stacked division where any of those fighters can fight on any given day, and there could be a different outcome, right? You never know, right? At 140, it's like this. Okay, look, I'm not expecting this guy Emiliano Zapata to move like Naoya anyway, or anybody like that, because I know there's some up and coming Japanese fighters who like what was his fighter who fought Jason Maloney just last 2 weeks ago, right? This guy had 7 fights. Maloney had 30 something fights, and he beat Maloney. Right? These are guys who are becoming champions at less than 10 fights at the first. Now, let me ask you something. If you had to move Emiliano Vargas, and pit him up against, let's say, Regis Prograis, who wins that?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hold on. Say it again, because I was doing something right now.
Emiliano Vargas fights Regis Prograis. Who wins?
Uh, Emiliano.
Okay. Emiliano Vargas versus Tank Davis. Who wins?
Tank. Tank.
All right. Now, Emiliano Vargas versus Jose Ramirez. Who wins?
Oh my gosh.
I'm
Well,
telling you, right?
right now,
Right. No, right now.
Emiliano.
Right now. Okay. All right. So, Emiliano Vargas fights Emmanuel Navarrete.
Say it again. Sorry.
Vargas fights Emmanuel Navarrete.
Um. Well, yeah. I was thinking about the weight class right now. I was like, yeah, fucking Emiliano, bro. He's fast.
Okay. Okay. You know that Emmanuel Navarrete is gonna be a
Nah,
4-time world division as of tomorrow, and if he
he's too
beats
big.
Dennis Beranchyk, okay,
He's
but
too
he's
big.
also he's also beaten great fighters like Oscar Valdez, Robson Conceição. I think he had a draw with that guy.
Nah.
He beat
I think he'll knock him out. Actually,
who?
I think Emiliano
Vargas
will
knocks
knock
out
out
no, Navarrete. Okay,
Navarrete.
wow. All
Yeah,
right, all right, all
he's
right,
too sloppy.
all right, man. All right, all right, all right. So Vargas and Devin Haney.
Vargas, Devin Haney. Vargas, Devin Haney. I'm thinking.
Come on, bro. Come
Hold
on.
on.
Think about it. That's not hard, bro. Vargas is not
Vargas.
ready
Hold on,
for
nah,
Devin Haney.
dude, I don't know why I was thinking. I Shakur's face popped up right now. I was like, what the fuck?
Well, there we go.
My
I'm going
brain,
to that guy too.
my brain wasn't working right now. But yeah, Devin,
Okay. Now, Emiliano Vargas versus Cameron Cepeda.
Cameron Cepeda.
That's the guy who throws 1,000 and
Oh,
something punches in the fight, man. He stopped. I think he knocked down and retired Jojo Diaz.
Vargas got to be on his A game with him.
Yeah,
For him to
everybody
beat him.
does.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think Vargas has a chance.
Okay. Now, Vargas versus, let's say, Jack El Gato Cateral, the guy who beat or had a draw versus Josh Taylor.
Um, Emiliano.
Damn, yeah, you really sorry about that word, guys. You really believe in Emiliano at this stage? Okay, cool, cool. Okay,
No, 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 no,
Em-
no. Not to an
no,
extent,
no,
bro.
it
You
has to
forgot
be
to
right
ask
now.
me
It has
about
to be right now,
you.
right
You
now.
you. Well, you're missing Josh Taylor. I think
No, no,
Josh
no. I'm
Taylor
getting
would
there.
beat
I'm
him.
getting there. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Now, Vargas versus Pitbull Cruz.
I think Pitbull. Emiliano.
Ladies and gentlemen, listeners, this applies to you guys. You go ahead and you comment. Who do you guys think will win these fights? Now, okay,
You're
Emiliano
not giving
versus
me the good
Josh Taylor.
Josh Taylor.
All right, there we go. Now, okay, here's the
You're
last
not
one.
asking the right guys. You're asking like guys that you know. You know what I'm saying? Like you're
Well,
not
I'm
asking.
just saying. I'm just saying. If you had to gamble on what Vargas has to do right now to become a champion, right? Because that's the reason why he went up to 140. He didn't go up to 140 because he doesn't want to be a champion. Like Mr. Vince Vargas states, maybe Vargas is just growing as a young man, putting on muscle at the gym. I see his weight going up and put on a lot of stress on his body, trying to make a lower weight. Can all be draining. My opinion, that's a valid opinion, of course. Mr. Vince Vargas, that's a lot of the reasons why the youngsters do not stay in one weight class. It's too hard because they're growing men and women. But we also have to factor in which is the safer bet towards becoming a champion, right? Because that's the one thing that'll open up the doors to remuneration, legacy, and respect from the fan base, becoming a champion. So after we go through the names at 135 and compare them to the 140 division, can we say that Emiliano Vargas has better odds at being champion at 140 over those in 135? I think so. I think so.
Okay, so he doesn't beat Matias. He barely beats Pitbull. He got to be on his A game, bro. And he gets caught, and that's where I question, where I'm like, where that's where I have questions. Does he take a Pitbull shot? Who's the other guy? Devin Haney has a belt. Who
Shakur.
Tio? Tio got a belt. I think.
Wow, I forgot about Shakur and Tio.
Yeah. So Tio, man, tough. I don't fucking know, dude. I don't know. I don't know Tio versus Vargas, bro. I think, and I definitely think Matias does not. I mean, the Matias beats Vargas and Tio and Pitbull and Devin. I think Matias is the best guy at 140. Um,
On
and
account
there's
of
some guys
what?
that don't, and there's some guys that don't even have belts, bro. That that can beat Vargas in my like Josh Taylor. You know,
So you're saying that 140 is the harder division to become a champion in?
compared to 135, yeah,
Yeah, I guess. Well, it's definitely safer because at
dude, you
135
need
they're
to.
not. Yeah, they're not too big of a killer, right? Like I
Cambosis.
mean, yeah.
Cambosis was just champion, bro. Like I'm not saying he was like he ain't no slouch, but he definitely is beatable, man. Like he's extremely beatable. He should have been knocked out by Tio, bro. Like that should have been a knockout right there. He was hurt,
Let me ask you something. Can
but
Vargas beat
uh,
Lomachenko?
uh,
Don't disrespect me, bro. That's a no.
uh
That's a straight no, bro. If there's ever a
no,
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 of
yeah,
course, there's a no.
I'm gonna
Man,
say
why did you
no
hesitate? Why didn't you guys ever give Lomachenko the
because
credit, man?
Vargas is growing as a fighter. He's not in his prime yet.
Yeah, no,
You
I
know,
know. I'm just saying, if you had to move him like the Japanese are moving their guys, would would he fare well against these guys, right? And I don't think
dude,
he would.
Vargas is good, bro. Like honestly,
Is he Japanese
he's
good though?
huh?
Is he Japanese good? Is he less
Is
than
he
10 fights?
Japanese good?
No, well, look,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
2 weeks
Because I
ago,
feel like
two
no,
weeks
you're right.
ago, there was two
Hold on.
champions coronated that had less than 10 fights.
No, Vargas is like almost a complete package, bro.
I
It's
know.
just he's a complete package. Like he's kind of well-rounded fighter.
Yeah.
He's strong, and I like to compare him to kind of like to Shakur a little bit, but Shakur's more twitchy. But less power though. He has less power than Vargas. Vargas can pop. Um, that's why he gets knockouts, bro. That's why I'm like, why move? up, you know. So I think there's just maybe he wasn't trying to take too much risk, and you know, because there was a lot of guys in the contender spots that would have given him trouble. Um, and I feel like at 140, you don't really have that type of challenge. You know, you're
Mm-hmm.
just going straight to the dogs. You know, and yeah, so I just feel like maybe it was, you know, because he's talented, bro.
He's
He's
super
super
talented.
fun, dude. I mean, I'm not gonna say I heard about him in the amateurs, but I just seen a bunch of like videos on IG and stuff like that, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh shit, he looks solid, you know. And then I seen him spar Shakur, and I was like, all right, this guy's the goods, bro. Like this guy's the goods. He's a complete package, and
Yeah.
I just haven't seen him take a take a hit yet, you know. Like so, maybe I'm kind of taking that for granted too.
Mm-hmm.
I need to see him take a punch. Um, I seen a total of. I know I've seen more than three fights. I've seen three of his fights at least, but I feel like I've seen at least five of them. You know, um, so I've seen a good amount, a good sample size of what
You're
this
like
guy's
Miss.
about.
You're like
Who?
Mr. Vince Vargas, who says that Emiliano's ready to go, and that he has him against
Oh yeah,
everybody. Yeah.
they're
No,
building them
I
right.
get it. The right
They're
way.
building them up the right way. Like this is how you're supposed to do it. Like don't listen to me. You know, like so the like that's the thing. Like I that I'm just saying like the possibilities of the
Oh
reasons
God. Oh
why they
my
moved up.
God.
You know, like I don't know anything. You know, I don't know anything. So that's
No,
why
no,
I
no. Yeah,
question
you
it.
know something. You know something. I don't know anything. I ask questions. You know something. Um, speaking of the Vargases, right, and the Garcias, next month, if I'm not mistaken, on June the 1st, um, there's going to be a pay-per-view event held by Mr. Marvin of Marv Nation. You know, Marv Nation is the ones who put up Regis Prograb versus Cepeda, Chon Cepeda, for that vacant 140 fight. Um, and that's the one where Regis Progress started to complain. He made a fuss because he didn't get paid on Monday, and he went all public and he said that these guys owed him money, and he was gonna. He just made a lot of brouhaha. The homie Ricky got all upset about him. Said, "Dude, you ruin relations just because you're money hungry. Like you don't know that these guys will take a day or two to get paid. They gotta tally all the pay-per-view." Long story short, Mr. Marv Nation is gonna put up Amado Vargas versus Ryan Garcia's younger brother, Sean, right? And on that fight, of course, we also have Jose Madrigal, the Cuban from Florida, versus the guy from Stockton, Nate Diaz, right? It's going to be a pay-per-view event. I think it's going to be boxing. Sean beat Amado Vargas when they were kids. Now I seen some clips of that fight, and it looked to me that Amado was winning, but somehow Sean got that win. Now Sean is the younger brother of Ryan. I haven't seen him fight more than twice on Golden Boy. Always on the other cards. He's never gotten the acclaim. He's never gotten the shine like Ryan has, and they're fighting professionally between each other. Now, these kids are becoming. Both of these kids are good-looking guys. Both of these kids come from well-renowned boxing families, and they have a history. Do you know anything about these guys, and who do you have for that win?
Yeah, no, I've seen a model fight in person actually in Stockton. Uh, when me and Rick went out to see Ruben Villa and the Johnny Beck versus Butler undercard. So I've seen him up in person. I've seen a couple of videos of him too. Um, Yeah, I know he's good. I think from what I heard, I heard Ryan Garcia or Sean, that's his name, Sean, right? He
Yeah, yeah,
Sean has a better amateur pedigree. He's been fighting along with Ryan like around the same time. So he doesn't have like a big pedigree like Ryan because he never really made it that far in the amateurs. But um, he knows he knows what speed is. So I just haven't seen the sample size as of recently. So I'm gonna go with Amado, bro. With on this fight.
yeah.
I feel like Sean I feel like Sean got rich first and got comfortable first because of Ryan. And I feel like Amado uh was building and training with his brothers. Uh and they've always, I don't know their financial situation, but I'm gonna say they're used to working, regardless of how big they get, So it's a mindset thing, and I feel like um Sean's a little bit in his, got hit. Sean hit the silk sheets first, and
Hmm.
you know what I mean. So
Hmm.
um, yeah, and they come from more of a family of fighters, so they keep each other leveled.
Generations, two
Yeah, and
generations
they
of
keep
fighters.
and their dad especially, you know, their dad's probably like on their asses, bro. Like, hey, stop jacking off. You have a fight coming up, mother. No, I'm just kidding. But like imagine going to Damien's room and be like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? You know? Like, you have a fight tomorrow, fucker. you know?
Oh God.
Stop it.
That's crazy,
Like
man. That's crazy.
imagine physically grabbing your son's hand. Stop it. I'm just kidding. But
Come on.
no,
That's
I'm just kidding. But
scandalous.
I know. But nah, just keeping each other leveled, and I feel like Sean's kind of like on his own a little bit. I know Ryan's gonna be in his corner and all, but Ryan's in his own zone right now. I feel like Sean's his own person. I feel like he's not crazy like him, bro. Like he's more to himself, but I feel like he's a little more distracted maybe, because of that. And maybe he trains a little differently, and Amado is trying to keep up. Yeah, he's been fighting top rank, and yeah, I just feel like Amado's been more active. I feel like I haven't heard too much of Sean's fighting career
Nope.
in the pros, So yeah, I know they beat each other in the amateurs, but he wasn't in silk sheets yet. So yeah, we think.
No, I think those are very valid points. I agree with you. I think the fact that you're generations deep in the sport, that there's footage of your own father having subjected himself to all those battles with Oscar de la Hoya, Cotto, Mayorga, if I'm not mistaken, that once they look at that footage, they cannot just stop and look at their father with admiration and respect. Like, man, my father is a badass. And just being raised knowing that your dad is a badass, that your dad is a fighting person. I think that's that kind of inspiration that changes your life, right? Where you sort of feel the pressure, not only the pressure, but also the desire to be like your father. And the father wants him to be like him, right? A lot of the
Yeah,
time, these
and
boxing fighters like Bernard Hopkins and all those cats, they don't want their children to fight. And he's like, yeah, I want my children to fight. Why? Because there's a lot of respect and self improvement that comes by becoming a dedicated athlete. And he knows that he has the connections to open up doors because of what he's done in the sport. So he knows that it's walk an easy uh, walk into the sport, probably even with the rolled out red carpet, in order for those guys to walk in. So I think it would be a missed opportunity if these guys did not grow up with the opportunity to become fighters. And I think they admire their father and respect him enough, and his father was good enough to educate him well how to become fighters, that it's natural for them to come at this sport with a desire to be great. In the case of someone like Sean Garcia, even though he has his brother Ryan, right? The fact of the matter is that although Ryan can be his inspiration, for Ryan having been a 15-time Golden Gloves division champion, he has never fought the best fighters in the sport. So when we look at, well, and the times he has, he's either had to cheat or they cheated against him and he lost, right? Ryan lost to Gervonta Tank Davis, and he cheated against Tank, Devin Haney. But nonetheless, what I'm trying to get at is this: when they've had success, it's been for the other stuff besides the accomplishment in the sport themselves. Sean can say about his brother, there are ways to become super wealthy in the sport without doing anything of note. In the case of the Vargas progeny, they can say there are ways to leave a legacy and elevate the last name of Vargas to the highest of pedigrees in the sport. It's just difference. It's a different mentality. Some guys want to live forever, and that's legacy, and some guys want to have material things, and that is wealth.
Yeah, man. Hey, dude, I gotta crash out right now because I volunteered to work tomorrow,
Yeah.
so I gotta crash out.
Yeah, well, I gotta take this big old drive to Napa. My son,
What?
yeah, I don't know where Napa is. I guess somebody told me it
Up
was like
north?
3 hours up north, right? They told me like three
Yeah,
hours
yeah.
away or something.
It could be 2.5, but yeah, I was out there today. I was in Fairfield. It's around that area, so
Yeah, well, I
I
gotta
work
go
with.
that place.
Oh,
Uh,
what fight? Like, what's it for?
my son has a fight over there. He has a
Yeah,
fight
yeah.
in Napa, and I
That's what I.
don't know with whom, and I don't know where. I've never been up there, but I hear it's beautiful. Vineyards and
It's
all
nice.
kinds of fancy stuff over there. I'm not too sure, but he has that fight this week. Um, this weekend, and then next week we go down south to Fresno for that rematch fight. So yeah, I have to crash out too early also. But hey, we had ourselves some fun. Uh, so yeah, crash out. I'll just wish everybody a good night.
All right, man. I'll let you go, man.
All right, Dream. Have a
Peace.
good one. All right,
Peace.
ladies and gentlemen, the Mexican G, good even for you. Mr. Vince Vargas, just to answer a couple of questions. Yep, they always use new gloves. And in fact, they have to have the gloves sealed in new bags, and then they have to open them up. And then both teams have to inspect the gloves to make sure that they're kosher, that they have not been tempered or compromised, that they're not loaded, and then they sign them to make sure that a professional who's revised and looked at the the fighting instruments, that they are clear and good to go. Marv Nation can't wait for that fight. Yep, I can't either, Mr. Vargas. I think it is going to be a pay-per-view. I hope it's only supposed to be $40. I will report once I know more. But yeah, Amado, I guess he has been running this mouth. I know he's had a couple of things said on IG. Um, and I have not really heard as much about Sean. But hey, if he's opening up his mouth, the problem with opening up your mouth is that, somebody could punch you right in it. Um, and of course, El Pachuco. I would like to wish you, ladies and gentlemen, a wonderful day tomorrow and for the rest of the night. a beautiful night. I hope that you guys, what did my mom used to say when I was a kid? Duerme con los angelitos. Dream with the angels or sleep with the angels. Because so that you can have wonderful dreams where the angels accompany and protect you. Yeah, that's what I want. El Pachuco, Eddie Medi, Danitapu 670. Homie Ricky, Dream, anybody who just hopped in and then hopped out. Thank you very much for visiting the small little broadcast. I hope you are all well of health and sane of mind. Like Kovalev, like Jonathan Sosa, like Sherif Lawal, like Curtis Harper, like Amado Vargas, Sean Garcia. Find the meaning of your life. Fulfill that purpose. And good luck in those ventures. I bid you adieu. Engage.